Hey everybody, welcome back to Last Night in Vegas. I'm your host, Brian Ortega, and today we are going to be talking about a very exciting experience that I had over at Fontainebleau again, because the thing is the reason we keep going to Fontainebleau is because it's new, and all the new things keep rolling out, and that's really where we want to be part of. So, I ended up going to the Poodle Room over at Fontainebleau, which is their members-only club, or lounge, if you will, on the very top of the hotel, where you get a fantastic view of the Las Vegas Strip. I'll go over the details of how the Poodle Room works and sort of how it came about, and I'll also go over a breakfast place I went to last week, because I never go to breakfast places on this episode or these pods, so I thought I would explore one here in the local part of Las Vegas. So we'll be jumping into that coming up next. Okay, Ray, so let's go ahead and dive in. So before we get to the Poodle Room, which is the one that I really wanted to dive into today, I ended up going to Baby Stacks, which is a really popular breakfast place here in Las Vegas. They have a lot of different locations. I ended up going to the one on Blue Diamond and Durango, I want to say. Blue Diamond, at least. So as I made my way there, I woke up very early in the morning. I said I have to go to breakfast. And when I say early in the morning, I was at the breakfast place by 10 o'clock, which is my rule about breakfast, is you have to be there before 10:30. Are these silly, archaic rules? Sure. But I had to go. So I ended up going to Baby Stacks. And when I got there, it was pretty open. It was a Wednesday. I can definitely see this place being much, much busier on the weekends. They're usually smaller locations, which is okay. I think that's sort of a really good thing about breakfast places, is that they are, your local breakfast spots. So I was excited. They only do breakfast and lunch, which is tick number one. Love it. So they specialize in their delicious pancakes or their Baby Stacks, and they also have a really good choice of omelets and skillets. So I didn't know that you can actually get these omelets in skillet form, because I only read the top part of the page. But as I'm kind of going through the menu, I was like, I don't really like omelets, to be honest, but I wanted to get something that I wanted to show you guys that was pretty tasty. So as I'm kind of scouring through it, I was doing my research the day before, I saw this one item that was called the piglet. And the piglet is actually an omelet that just has ham, bacon, and sausage. And, of course, the egg and the cheese. And I was like, yes, please. So I ended up getting the piglet, which was really good, but we'll get to that in a second. So I was like, let me get the piglet. And they said, do you want an omelet or do you want a skillet? And I was like, what? You can get both? Or you can get either. And they said, yeah, you can get one of them. So I said, let's do the skillet. Because skillet, I was able to get the eggs, scrambled the way I like, and they came out deliciously hot. Good flavor on them. Good flavor on the eggs. It was sort of like egg, cheese, and then the meats. And it was tasty. Oh, also, it had potatoes in it as well. Did it have potatoes? Yes, it had potatoes in it, I believe so. Either way, I got that, and I also got a side of their delicious pancakes, a just very small short stack of pancakes, which come with the order. So if you end up getting the skillet or the omelet, you do get a side of pancakes with it as well. But with that, I ended up getting all the fixins, and they were delicious. The only thing is, you do have to drive off of the Strip to be able to go to one of the Baby Stacks. They have a bunch in Henderson. They also have a bunch in Summerlin, and then like Southwest Las Vegas. But just look up your local Baby Stacks and you will find one. They did have crepes. I wasn't a huge fan of the crepes. I know some people enjoy them, but I didn't like them. It's one of those things where you kind of have to get it piping hot, and they have to be very thin. And then also the cream was a heavier cream that I wasn't a fan of, that sweet cream, because it was actually too sweet. It would have been nice for something to cut through it. So not a fan of the crepes, but highly recommend the breakfast. And of course, their pancakes are out of this world. They're known for their red velvet pancakes, they were delicious. So highly recommend Baby Stacks if you are going to be looking for a breakfast spot here in Las Vegas. So let's move on to the main event. So I ended up going to the Poodle Room. So how did this come about, you may ask? So I've kind of kept abreast of things that are opening and closing, but opening at the Fontainebleau at this point. And one of them was this whole notion of the Poodle Room. So when I read about the Poodle Room, you have to go to the website, and then you actually have to make a sort of profile and then send it to be reviewed and then accepted or declined. So it's just like a membership for anything else. So you're just kind of registering your interest. So you just your first, your last name. It does ask you your address, so just keep that in mind. It also does ask you, I believe on the most recent one, your occupation. It doesn't ask you how much money you make, but it does ask you your occupation. So it's one of those things that goes off, and it goes off to like a concierge or whatever, and you just kind of just have it out there floating. You have an idea that there's going to be a charge for this type of service, so kind of just waiting, and then a couple days ago, I got an email that said, "Hey, we're having a sneak peek while we're reviewing your, profile." So gave you a bunch of dates to sort of do these sneak peeks. So I decided on, I picked one, and then the idea is that it's sort of like an exclusive lounge for specific people. So I said, sure, why not? You just have to pretend like you have money. You don't actually have to have money when you want to do stuff in this town. So I ended up going to Fontainebleau on a Saturday, and then I ended up, having a drink at the bar. There was a bunch of other influencers that were in. It was funny, they were in the hotel, but not at the event that I was doing. So, haha, take that. So, kind of bopping around. I got dressed really nice. I actually wore like a really nice suit. It was like a gray suit, black shirt, black shoes, to the nines. Didn't wear a tie though, but did look very sharp. So I basically sat at the solo bar, just kind of hung out for a second. Then I went back to the elevators that take you up to the bar, and really cool. So you walk up, and then they actually have a hostess standing at a stand. You give them your reservation that you made, obviously. They take you into sort of this private elevator area, and then you go up to the top floor. So they do have a check-in person at the bottom, so just note that you are going to be running into a bunch of people who are checking you in. And one of the requirements, which I see this happening a lot in Las Vegas, and I think it's actually kind of an okay trend, maybe not okay for you guys who like to follow me and sort of live vicariously through me, but they do not allow phones. They do not allow pictures or videos, which has been happening a lot. So, for example, Delilah's was one of the first ones to not allow pictures or videos inside of their restaurant. At least here in Las Vegas. And then we had another place. Where is it? Then we have a lot of the performances for like Bruno Mars, like at the Dolby Theater. They do not allow phones. So a lot of those places don't allow phones, regardless. But then it just opened. Pinky Ring by Bruno Mars, which is over at the Bellagio, does not allow you to take pictures or videos either. So I find it kind of to be a trend, which I think is actually a really smart marketing thing for a lot of these restaurants and lounges, especially if you're going to be high end and you're really going to sort of go towards that clientele. I really think in the beginning it was more so that you were going to have lots of celebrities in, like Delilah's, for example, where you didn't want to have pictures, people taking out their phones, taking pictures of these people. They're just trying to have a good time and eat. And then I think it like sort of evolved into, we want this space to be a mystery. We want you to have to come and see what the inside looks like. Because if you know what the inside of something looks like, then it's no more fun. But if you're able to sort of to experience yourself, it makes it more worth it. And of course, you're already in the building. So it makes it worth it for these people to do it this way. So ended up going up the elevator. You go up to the very top floor of the hotel. And then as you open the door, you go out into this sort of like, foyer space that also has a check-in desk, where you walk up to the check-in and there's a big, giant, beautiful glass window that is just the entire top of this lounge. It's all glass. Basically, the entire top of Fontainebleau is this lounge. And you can see it if you ever come to Las Vegas. You'll see the big, giant glass window on the very top of the hotel. So as you see it, you walk up and they check you in and they say, "Hello, Mr. Ortega." And that's me. So I went, by myself, just to sort of check it out. So I ended up dining at the bar, but they have a very, very large floor space where you can actually do like a four top, but they're not, but the cool thing is it's very much a lounge style. It is not a restaurant. But they have food there. But it is very much a lounge setup with, couches and like these really cool sort of like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like designer chairs, which are very plush. It feels elegant on the inside. It's pretty open and pretty sprawling. And as you walk through, they have a big, beautiful oval bar, which is up on some steps. And I really like the bar. Really, really fantastic. So you get the bar the bar part of it, and then all of the tables are oriented next to the window. There's nothing like in the center the of the entire space, which is great. I think it's perfect. I don't want to go there and then end up sitting in that space. They obviously have some chairs next to the bar, of course, like sort of like booth style, but again, you can still look out to the city, if you will. So anyways, got in. A couple features you should know about is they do have obviously a very large floor plan. It looked busy, like it looked busy for them, but it wasn't like a bustling restaurant. They do have live music, which is fantastic. They have a DJ setup. They also have a piano with a singer. It is a piano player and a singer in addition. So it was, live music, of course. And bartenders really know what they're doing. We'll get into that in a second. But they also have a backspace, which I didn't see this, but on the other side, which everybody wants the view of the strip, that's the big one, looking south. But they do have a space in the back that actually has a view looking north to downtown where you can see the stratosphere. And that view was actually a little bit more impressive just because you can see how high up the Fontainebleau is in comparison to the stratosphere. That space really wasn't being used. It was kind of being used as a break area for the singer and the DJ and the piano player, but really fantastic nonetheless. So as I walked back towards, the bar, you get this really cool, big, like sparkling purple menu. So it's basically a very, very dark, splattered with purple, what's what I'm looking for? I was gonna say sprinkles, but glitter, which felt very nice. Had this cool, like purple, like tassel on it, and you open it up, and it's obviously says the Poodle Room. And they do have a very extensive list of spirits, cocktails, and bottle service, of course. And they also serve food as well. It's going to be like sort of high-end bar food. So think they're going to have like your mini corn dogs. They have chicken fingers, which everybody has to have chicken fingers. They also have Wagyu burgers and fries, which we'll talk about that in a second. On the other menu, they also have sushi from Ito, which Ito is the restaurant that is on top of the hotel, which does like the 16 or 17 course tasting menu that also looks out towards the strip. I believe there's only 12 seats at Ito, but that's where they also get their sushi. And then if you're a big sushi person, they have a pretty extensive list of sushis as well. But not like a short rib or anything like that. It's very much, or a steak, it's very much bar style food elevated for this clientele, which I did get one of those. So I wanted to try something that was going to be specific to the Poodle Room. So I tried their Pitter Patter, and then I always forget the third word, but it's the Pitter Patter drink, which is a plum-based liqueur, which I was very nervous of trying it. And it looked okay. It sort of looked brown, but it could have been the plum liqueur that went into it. But it was actually quite good. It was actually really, really good. They have a very large cocktail menu, so don't think you're going to run out of things to have. And if you don't want the thing that I just had, don't worry. They do have a very extensive list of whiskeys. They also have a very extensive list of tequilas that you can choose from to make your custom cocktail. So I really wanted to run Jeremy, who was my fantastic bartender, through his paces. So started with a drink of one of his signature drinks to see how he would make it. Came through, fantastic job. Then we went through the old fashioned, and I have to say the service was impeccable here. So from the hostesses to the bussers to the cocktail waitresses and of course the bartenders did an absolutely fantastic job. It felt like you were in a high-end spot, and that's very, very important. In terms of like the type of people that are there, I would say that you do get the feeling of an elevated clientele, but sort of like that superficial high-end clientele. It feels very like transplants from LA that maybe didn't have the money in LA that now live in Las Vegas and have cash. Same thing with, the women that are there. You get a lot of women who are there for, I know this guy because he invited me because he needed to fill out his roster of women on this particular invite. There were women that walked in with these guys and then said, oh, well, it's this time. We got to go to the club downstairs. Peace. And then just left. So you get that kind of crowd. I don't think it's going to be a place where you're going to meet people. Like, I don't think you're going to meet like your soulmate here. Maybe business partners. Like, I see this place, and the reason that we have these type of members clubs, especially in like Los Angeles and New York, is that you are going to meet people that you might want to do business with, that you might be in the same air as these folks. Not me. I'm just there, just have a couple drinks and take a look around and just, talk about you guys on the pod. But that was the vibe that you got. You got a lot of like very good looking women with a lot of not good looking men. And that's how you always know you're in the space where money is. So that's always kind of a fun little thing to sort of attack and figure out who's with who. So that was happening. But overall, kind of a cool space. It was fun to sort of just look sort of from afar. But getting to Jeremy, who was our bartender this evening, he ended up making the pitter patter drink, and then he ended up making me an old fashioned. Really fantastic job making the old fashioned. I thought he did a really spot on job of how I like my old fashioned made, which means that I drink those really fast, which means I'm gonna have to have a third drink. So ended up getting an old fashioned. It was fantastic. So now I'm 2 drinks in. Decided to get myself the Wagyu cheese burgers, mini cheeseburgers, sliders, and it's always funny when they put Wagyu whatever in front of it. So that drink ended up costing, that dish, because you get the mini sliders with the fries, one of the best sets of fries I've ever had. The fries came out hot, perfect. It was so good. That ended up being $27. It was 2 sliders and fries, which for the most part, pretty standard for a place of this, this look, which is okay. I'm fine with that. I've been to places, in terms of the cocktails were pretty standard Vegas prices, which I was very happy to see. I'm so glad that this place, even though it's a members place, isn't charging you an arm and a leg for the cocktails. Were the cocktails $21, $22? Yes, they were. Especially the signature cocktails are $27. Is that a lot? Yes, 100%. That is a lot of money. 27 is quite a bit for a cocktail, but 20 in Vegas for an old fashioned. It sounds terrible, but that's pretty normal. So you kind of go with it. So the drinks themselves were not going to be at vault prices, which if you ever watched one of my videos, it's on TikTok at Keys to Vegas. You can watch the vault episode where I ended up going to the vault speakeasy over at the Bellagio, where these prices were astronomically high. These places are pretty on par with the rest of the entire city, at least on the Strip. So got the mini burgers. I also got a Coke to go with it because I just really wanted a soda to go with my burgers. And they do the bottle Coke, and then that just means that's another $6. So had that. Delicious. Never miss Coke. Love it. So I had the bottled Coke in the bottle. Classy move. And then to finish off the night, I kind of go with my dessert cocktail. That's I never knew that you can have a dessert cocktail until, as I got into an adulthood, that you don't want to have like a cake, but you can have liquid dessert. And I ended up getting the amaretto sour, which he shook vigorously to give me the beautiful froth that comes with an amaretto sour. And not once did I have to tell Jeremy how to make a cocktail. I usually don't do that, but sometimes, when you ask for something, people ask, well, what's the base ingredients? And then you have to go into it. But Jeremy was right on par with all those things that you would expect from a members lounge. So I had a fantastic time. The amaretto sour was delicious, straightforward. All the cocktails were very good. I'd like to go back again and try one of their other signature cocktails just to see if it sort of blows my socks off. But overall, really great job, and I think that's what you would expect from a members lounge. They also do, I forgot to mention this during the walkthrough, they do have a cigar lounge inside of the Poodle Room, but it is not in the main dining area. You have to go into a sort of like clubhouse. Sounds kind of weird, but it has 2 double doors, and when you go in, it has these big giant couches. Kind of feels like a man cave with a big TV inside, and they have a huge wall of different cigars you can choose from. But with that being said, it did not smell like cigar smoke in the Poodle Room, which I'm very happy to hear. They don't allow, I believe, cigar smoke inside of the Poodle Room. Smoking, I feel like they may not be cool with. So that looks like it would be, again, the little sort of cigar lounge for you. But overall, would I pay money to do the Poodle Room? Like to actually have a membership for it? Maybe. What would I be? I would say it's not going to be this, but if you charge me like $100 a month, maybe I'd get a membership to the Poodle Room. $100 a month. So what's that? $1,200 a year? If I just have to do it monthly, that's cool. All up front, I'd be like, eh. But if you did like just a monthly $100 every month, your dues, sounds pretty cool. I really like the view. The view is really cool. It's also just so awesome that you can say you're part of a members club. And do I think that these would be successful here? I don't know. I don't know of that many places that have private clubs like this. I know of one, but it's because my friend who was a hostess over at the Fontainebleau knew about this club, would meet once every month in the foundation room for a special get-together, if you will. So take of that of what you will with that comment. But in terms of this type of members club, they have a lot of them in LA, some in New York. It's sort of like a country club, basically. I would say we'll see. TBD. Because you are going to get lots of sports stars. I think that is definitely the case. When I was there, if any of you follow football, that is where they had Max Crosby was in the house. So Max Crosby, the football player for the Raiders, was there. I can definitely see Devontae Adams maybe paying and being part of something like this. If you're into that, that might be the reason to get it. But I wouldn't say that you should get it because of that. But overall, I had a fun experience. I really wanted to go back. It's definitely a great place to sort of like impress a date. That would be fantastic. So maybe in the coming months, maybe we'll go up there. But we'll see. We'll just see if they have any of these like open dates. Maybe like during the week, they'll allow, people to walk in. A lot of concepts like this start out the way that this is trying to start out as. And if they don't get enough interest or enough people to pay to go up here, they will certainly take people's money who just want to see what the place looks like. So very, very interesting in those regards. So this was the Poodle Room episode. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. Of course, there are no videos of this particular experience because no videos or pictures when you're upstairs, but you can look at your phone, so that's completely fine. But I'll be back out taking a look at stuff. I'm a little bit busy in the next coming weeks, so hopefully I'll try to do two a week as I usually do, one for sure. But as I said, I will be going out of town. I'll be going to Los Angeles next week. So for those of you just sort of like waiting for me to talk back to you, that'll be what's going on. So again, if you come to Las Vegas, feel free to come say hello to me. My name's Brian Ortega. You can follow me on my Instagram, which is Brian_Ortega26, or Concierge Confidential _LV on Instagram. And if you want any of the videos, TikTok at Keys to Vegas. And of course, you can also try to message me on Twitter, which is honestly the last line of defense of talking to me, because it is, one of many social media platforms that I have to try to monitor. So again, if you come to Las Vegas, really hope you guys have a great time. Hopefully you seek me out. If you see me out in town, awesome. Let's buy you a beer or something. But if you do see me, remember, keep it confidential.